What does it mean to have an art community? One of the most common things that people talk to me about and ask questions about is how do I build a community? And often a lot of people think that they have to go to some fancy art school and pay a couple $100,000 or move across the country or world to find a school or find some job where they're able to fit into a studio environment where they can find those people and that camaraderie and community. But I really don't think that's the case. One story that I kind of try to remember is when I was in my early 20s, I was a giant fan of Ian McCaig. If you're not familiar with Ian McCaig, he's a concept artist. He designed a bunch of Darth Maul, and he's worked in movies and concept art for a long, long time. He was at the Spectrum event doing a signing for one of the Spectrum books, and I just kind of wanted to go and meet him and ask him his advice because I was considering on going to art school. I remember sitting down with him and kind of asking him his opinion on things, and he said pretty much like, don't go to art school. You can build that community on your own. And what he did is that he would make figure drawing classes on his own with his friends, and then that was his version of trying to study because they'd figure out things, they'd solve problems on their own, and that was enough for them to eventually get good enough to go and find jobs. That story has reflected a lot in my own personal experience and in my life, where I have gone to a lot of the fancy workshops. I've met tons of really famous artists, but it was never meeting those famous artists that was where the meaningful connections came from. It was me going to the LCAD figure workshop in my early 20s on Saturday morning and paying $15 to enter, and then meeting someone like Taylor Olivis, who introduced me to all of the other students who were at LCAD at the time, Dom Lay, and eventually Scott Flanders. And that was something that I didn't have to pay really much money for at all. It was just my time driving to the school and my time at the actual workshop itself, and then a little bit of cash for entry. And my point there is that often I think community is right around the corner. It's just our ability to go put in the tedious work of driving somewhere, essentially digging holes, go and find the treasure. You know, a lot of people might say, Christian, you were in Southern California, you were around these fancy art schools, you had opportunities that I didn't have, which might be true. I don't think it's as easy everywhere, but I also think that even if you're in some place that may seem secluded, there's always some opportunity for meeting some like-minded people. If there's no community out there directly for you to go and find, I think that even then, you can go and try and create your own. You can create your own figure drawing workshop and go put up flyers and make Instagram posts and trying to promote it that way versus it being something where it is all on other people to build that community for you. I think the more responsibility that you take on for yourself for building that environment, the more likely it's going to be a great environment. I've made tons and tons of connections from figure drawing workshops that I've hosted. I created a meetup page on meetup.com where I go to different coffee shops around San Diego every week and just invite whoever to come to join in on us drawing, us having fun, and us socializing. There's no particular agenda in mind. The goal of it is just to get out of our rooms and just go and meet people and draw. And I think the more that we try to defer responsibility onto other people, or we think that, oh, maybe we're not good enough, or we'll be embarrassed, people won't like us or whatever, the more that actually starts to become the case. I know that I've hosted meetups or figure drawing workshops where no one has showed up, and I felt really embarrassed and crappy about that. But just by the act of keeping and going and believing and hoping in something better, stuff eventually did start taking traction, and now there's like 1,000 people in that meetup group. And for anyone listening to this, if you're in the San Diego area, you're for sure welcome to come. Just sign up for one and show up. It's no big deal. Talking about that, I think that on a greater level, I think it's easy to look at an art school and maybe romanticize or idealize the ideal of, making those connections, having interactions with directors, getting to participate in job fairs, all that kind of stuff. But the reality is that I think that a lot of those opportunities are available to us if we put in a little bit of effort to go and find them outside of art school. For example, when I was going to Saddleback College, it's a community college in Orange County, I made a point to try to take classes with James Galindo. And at the time, James was teaching at LCAD and he was teaching at Saddleback. And his class at Saddleback was $200 and his class at LCAD was $3,000. And he was teaching the same exact curriculum. And I managed to take his class like 3 times or something. Like the amount that the college would let me take that class. And that equivalent experience at LCAD was $3,000. And I think that as an opportunity, there are a lot of teachers who teach at Art Center or they teach at CalArts or they teach wherever and they have some online digital workshop or something, or they have some in-person class. Like for example, Ahmed Aldori, he has a course on his Kajabi account called MedsMap that I really highly recommend, where he teaches everything that he teaches in Art Center, where he taught for a while, and also online. And at Art Center, it is like $5,000 for that class, and on his Kajabi account, it's like $300 or something. So it's less than a tenth of the price for the same exact material. And it's sort of dependent on what you want from the experience. Like if you're looking for just the information, that information is available to you for way cheaper than it is at an art school. Sure, you might get a little bit more access, or the access to other people that are like-minded is a little bit more streamlined at a college. I don't think, again, it's worth the price tag that you pay. And if you have the money to go and just go to art school, go for it. Like if you have enough money to just do that instead of having to worry about building your own thing, that's totally fine as well. But I guess I'm trying to talk about how in my experience, it's never the, and I know I'm repeating this, but it's never the crazy big art conventions like Lightbox or something where the most consistent, meaningful things happen. I think that, those do mean something. They are important to participate in, but, having just a bunch of people that you go and meet around with and draw, that's going to have a lot more meaningful of an impact on your career than anything else. For me, a lot of the connections that I've made with people have been through Proko, and none of that has been related to my ability to draw. None of that has been related to my ability to, I guess, make really, really pretty pictures or anything. It's been just me talking with people and having ideas for projects. I've become really close friends with Rembert Montald, who I have his drawing from one of a video we did together up here, just by hanging out with him. And we met through Scott Flanders at Lightbox. He said hey, you guys would be friends, just meet up, see what happens. And we talked for a while, and eventually, I invited him to Proko. We worked on that sketchbook tour video together, and eventually it became a big thing, and it turned into something that a lot of people care about. But it started us just bonding over our mutual love of someone like Nathan Fowkes. We met at Lightbox, we just walked around for a bit, and we went to his booth, and we made a point to just look at his paintings together. If anyone is struggling to find that community, I really highly recommend finding something try to do. I would recommend something like a meetup page, something in person where you can get out of the house. If you can't do that, or if you don't feel comfortable doing that, participating in someone else's thing is totally fine. Joining a Discord. I have one linked down below on my YouTube where occasionally I'll critique people. There's people sharing their art and talking a little bit. There are plenty of environments online to where you can safely share and participate without ever leaving your house. And I know that a lot of people are afraid of that social interaction or that fear of rejection, but I know that profession that you're choosing or the path that you're walking down, being rejected as an artist is just part of it. I think one of the most important lessons that I was taught when I was, talking with a bunch of these artists is to tie zero portion of your self-worth to the reception of your art. There are going to be people that love it, and there are going to be people that hate it, no matter at what level you're at. Thanks guys for watching. I really appreciate it. If you're interested in learning from me, I have a mentorship on my Patreon if you'd like to check that out. Again, linked in the description. And if you'd like to support me in other ways, I have links to courses below in the description. One by Michael Hampton, one by Ryan Benjamin, and then one by myself. It's a gesture mini course on just the fundamentals of gesture drawing. And yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Cool. Thanks, guys.